Palestine, the Israeli regime's persecution of the press continues. Mayadeen's West Bank bureau was closed and its reporters' equipment confiscated. In Argentina, experts and public opinion confirmed that the candidate Sergio Massa prevailed over Javier Milei in the last debate of the Argentine presidential race. The European People's Party presents a petition for the amnesty law to be debated in the Strasbourg court. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Israeli government steps up harassment and persecution of the press. Mayadeen's West Bank bureau was closed and its reporters' equipment confiscated on Monday. The Zionist executive has decided to approve the proposal of Communications Minister Shlomo Karhi. On Monday morning, the occupier's telecommunications authorities confirmed the cabinet's decision and had also ordered the confiscation of the equipment of the Lebanese channel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government has unleashed an unprecedented war on the media, killing more journalists than in any other conflict in the world in just 1 month. Nasser al-Laham, director of Mayadeen, declared that they will continue to fulfill their mission to inform. The Gazan government press office reported that following the intensification of bombardment by the Israeli occupation forces in Palestine, the death toll has risen to more than 11,100. According to the statistics provided by the Ministry of Health, they state that among the martyrs, more than 8,000 are children and women. On the other hand, they informed that the number of wounded has risen to more than 28,000, which push at greater risk the collapse of hospitals and healthcare centers due to the lack of supplies. Likewise, a spokesman for the Gaza Ministry of Health said that all hospitals in northern Gaza are not providing services with the exception of the Baptist Hospital, which has limited care and services. The World Health Organization confirmed that the flow of patients, medical staff and refugees ramped up in Gazan hospitals, harassed in the latest hours by the occupant army. WHO's Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus referred that after having recovered contact with Al-Shifa Hospital, the biggest in Gaza Strip, that constant shootings and attacks on the area have worsened the situation. The number of patients' deaths surged due to the lack of power, water and medicine. All patients in the intensive care unit have passed away, including newborns. Local press reported that snipers shot dead 4 nurses and the outstanding nephrologist, who had lately affirmed that he would never leave his patients behind. Al-Shifa Hospital denies Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who claimed that they had been offered 300 liters of fuel to reactivate the power of the hospital that has been bombed for 3 days. The Zionist Prime Minister made a statement to an U.S. media, while the director of the hospital, Muhammad Abu Salmeya, denied this fact and confirmed that all the patients in the intensive care unit died. He wonders why Israel does not deliver the fuel through the International Red Cross. On the other hand, Hamas clarified that it has no authority over the hospital and pointed out that the 300 liters allegedly offered by Israel are not even enough for 30 minutes of service in the largest hospital in Gaza. Hospitals have become home to thousands of displaced Palestinians seeking shelter from Israeli bombardment, but many are already on the verge of collapse due to the lack of space and medical supplies. Our correspondent Noor Harasin has more details from the Gaza Strip.
The hospitals in the Gaza Strip started to be filled up with people, especially those in southern Gaza, as we're talking about more than 12 hospitals in Gaza that totally collapsed and stopped working due to the lack of medicine, medical supplies, and also the continuous Israeli airstrikes in and around the hospitals. Here in southern Gaza, the hospitals are now filled up with refugees. We're talking about thousands of people, tens of thousands of people that left their homes in northern Gaza and came to take shelter in southern Gaza. However, these people do not have any homes. The UN schools shelters has closed their doors, not allowing more families to enter the schools and taking shelter inside the schools. So families started coming here to the hospitals in southern Gaza, taking shelter. However, they are scared. They do think that it's the turn of southern Gaza and the hospitals of the southern Gaza to be targeted and attacked after Israel finishes attacking hospitals in northern Gaza. Right now, I am inside the Al Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, and according to the doctor, there is an estimated number of 10,000 people, refugees, now taking shelter inside the hospital. Nur Harazin, TeleSUR, Gaza.
United Nations delegations at their headquarters initiate honors in memory of colleagues killed by Israel in Gaza. A worldwide tribute is being held today, Monday, in their name. The occupying army has caused in 1 month the largest slaughter of humanitarian workers in 75 years of its creation. In their memory, offices around the world will observe this Monday a minute of silence, and flags at their headquarters will remain at half-mast. Among those killed are teachers, nurses, doctors, and support staff. Humanitarian workers and journalists have been the direct target of the occupiers' fire. In 4 weeks, Israel killed more journalists than any conflict in at least 3 decades. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak dismissed his Home Secretary Suella Braverman over criticism of the police. The now former secretary accused the police of double standards and of being lenient in favoring the pro-Palestinian demonstrators during the control of the demonstrations held in the country. During the last hours, there had been increasing calls for her resignation after attacking the police for authorizing pro-Palestinian protests, which she defined as hate marches. The British Premier also announced a reshuffle in his government. And in Palestine, despite the escalation of violence over the last 37 days, Gaza children, refugees at UN schools carry out recreational activities to mitigate the effect of the current crisis. This is how the Mobile Circus project provides psychological and psychosocial support through entertainment to the children who have survived the Israeli bombardments, which have killed over 11,100 people, of which over 8,000 were women and children. Those who survive are left with psychological and emotional wounds from seeing their relatives die. In spite of all this, there is a group of Palestinians who, overcoming their own grief, are trying to give a bit of hope to these children.
I am Joseph Haddad, a circus trainer in Gaza. In 2015, we had an initiative for children's recreation and to take care of children's mental health through games to take their minds away from the horrors of war. But the difficult circumstances of the war made our team to disperse, and everyone ended up in a different place. In spite of this, we are working to show or promote the circus cultures among the children, and to create an atmosphere of recreation to relieve the pressures caused by the wars and the tragedy of sufferings they have experienced. We have had many difficulties in some trainings, but we still have things to teach the children through the games.
Let's take now a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. On Monday, the first headlines in the national and international press unanimously awarded the victory of Sergio Massa of Union for the Homeland against Javier Milei of Liberty Advances in the last debate of the Argentine presidential race. During the almost 2 hours of the debate, the progressive candidate kept controlling the 6 thematic blocks. On the other hand, the libertarian candidate quickly used an aggressive verb where words such as caste, cancer, and extermination came up again. Sergio Massa organized a battery of questions challenging Javier Milei to take a position on sensitive issues. The pollsters preliminarily pointed out that Massa looked much more presidential than Milei, who even managed to run out of words. In the presidential debate that took place in Argentina between candidates Sergio Massa and Javier Milei, the representative of Union for the Homeland talked on education.
What Argentina needs is an improvement for labor laws based on the needs of Argentinians. What Argentina needs are new laws for our kids is to for them to have accessible schools at affordable prices.
Massa also stated that his administration will ensure respect for all Argentines.
Today, Argentina, there are more than 7,000 jubilees. And the state has to provide for them. What Argentina needs, it's a program for providing for these jubilees. Low taxes, and furthermore, all of this is going to be implemented from December 10 on. We are going to start a new regime that will respect the needs of every Argentinian.
Meanwhile, Javier Milei, candidate for the Argentine presidency for the Liberty Advances Party, during his speech in the presidential debate, gave details of how the health and education sectors would be conformed.
We know that health and education are primary points. So therefore, that's what those ministries will have for main offices. And all of them would be directly related to those fields. When you take a look to the history of humanity, you know that these 2 points have played a very important role in development. So, therefore, we can understand that it's paramount for people to be healthy and to be well fed. That's why we're paying so much attention to food and education, especially with children.
Regarding to the education sector, Javier Milei also said that about 30% of the population did not receive proper education.
I don't know why they didn't do all those proposals previously. We heard before about this alphabetization compromise, which is heard right now. And did you know that about 30% of the population did not receive proper education? And there are about 70% of young children that cannot be able to solve a basic math problem. So if you can guarantee that these kids can end basic school, how would you provide support for the rest of them? How would you take them out of poverty? How will they be educated and provide for them, especially when they have to have something to eat?
In Chile, authorities are concerned over the recent increase of COVID-19 reported cases. There has been a significant increase in both the number of hospitalizations in intensive care units and in reported deaths due to the virus. According to a health ministry report from October 29th to November 4th, at least 36 people have died of COVID-19. The regions with the highest percentage of cases are Antofagasta in north with 63.3%, and to the south of the country, Araucanía with 40.8% and Biobío with 40.5%. The Chilean Health Ministry is urging people to get immunized with the bivalent vaccine, to which effect they have launched a vaccination campaign focused on population segments more prone to contagion. The Venezuelan International Book Fair FILVEN 2023 continues in its 19th edition with Colombia as the special guest. The event offers more than 600 activities to promote reading and culture of the more than 80 participating countries. The fair has nearly 80 invited writers and publishers. The Colombian Pavilion has more than 30 authors in 7 literature genres from different independent publishers in Colombia. In addition, the space dedicated to children's literature is one of the most colorful of the exhibition. Led by the Spanish People's Party's leader Dolores Montserrat, the European People's Party will present a petition to the Strasbourg Court of Justice on Monday, calling for a debate on the amnesty law. The request is made through the table of parliamentary spokespersons so that the court accepts it as soon as possible. The group assures that first thing this Monday will make the request to try to stop the law that the Socialists and the Catalan Independentistas have agreed on. For their part, the representatives of Pedro Sánchez could be preparing a debate on the rule of law of Hungary, and in this way and with this legal precedent to avoid talking about the situation in Spain. And in this context, the Popular Party summoned millions of citizens on Sunday to its rallies to protest against the amnesty law and the government of Pedro Sánchez. Demonstrations were held all around Spain, thousands gathered in the main squares of the state departments to show their opposition to the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party. The president of the Popular Party, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, led the march in the city of Sevilla, with a crowd that overflowed the streets of the city. In this sense, the PP assured that more than 30,000 people attended the different rallies all over the country.
The first thing to make all of Spain and the world understand is that this is a very unequal battle. The discussion between pro-independence and non-independent supporters is played with marked cards. A lot of tax money from the Generalitat is being used for propaganda, not even at the service of separatism, but at the service of Hispanophobia, of division. There is definitely not a conflict between Catalonia and Spain. The vast majority of Catalans are Spanish, and that is the way they want to be and feel.
We stay in Barcelona. Citizens expressed their strong rejection to the amnesty.
We have to tell all Spanish people in front of everyone that they are stealing from us what belongs to us, that these fascist separatist countries are taking part of our territory, and a few of them are benefiting against the rest of the people. It's a serious coup d'etat. Here all the people should be taking a stand. Spain is ours. It does not belong to that country who for 7 votes sold his own mother. This hasn't been a normal election, it's been an election of fraud, because neither the SUMAR movement nor the PSOE had the amnesty in their electoral program. Rather, they denied it, that it did not comply with the constitution, and now, as Mr. Pedro is interested in the votes of the riffraff, it turns out that it is constitutional.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at TeleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. A fun short break. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. The United Nations has confirmed that more than 800 people were killed in Darfur, Western Sudan. The attack occurred in Adamata, a town in the province of Western Darfur. Their militias and allied paramilitaries razed the town to the ground. The report by doctors in the area was endorsed by the United Nations. In addition to the fatalities, human rights organizations report numerous sexual attacks against women and girls, many of them held as sex slaves. The conflict in Sudan, which has moved out of international spotlight, has already resulted in 12,000 deaths and 6 million displaced people since the conflict began on April 15. In India, about 40 workers were trapped underground after a road tunnel they were building in the state of Uttarakhand collapsed. According to authorities, the collapse of the underpass between Silkyara and Dantalagan occurred early Sunday morning during construction work. No fatalities or injuries have been confirmed so far. Rescue services are supplying oxygen through the rubble to the best of their ability as they work to try to get the workers out safely. In Guatemala, the rainy season has left at least 65 people dead and over 23,690 people affected by floods in several regions of the country. The National Coordinating Organization for Disaster Reduction stated that this period of storms affected around 4 million people throughout the country. Among the most affected regions is the department of Alta Verapaz, where landslides occur, impacting homes and buildings throughout the area. Authorities informed that search and rescue operations continue for 13 people still missing. In Italy, in Sicily, the Etna volcano has erupted. So far, no one has been reported dead or injured. Officials say the volcano released a column of ashes over 4,500 meters high, which has affected several nearby settlements. Experts are keeping a close eye to the volcano's activity. At a height of over 3,300 meters, Mount Etna is considered the largest volcano in Europe. In Kenya, hundreds of environmental campaigners marched in Nairobi, the capital, demanding drastic curbs on plastic production ahead of a meeting to negotiate a global plastic treaty. As of Monday, representatives of over 170 nations are expected to meet in Nairobi to negotiate what concrete measures should be included in a binding worldwide treaty to end plastic pollution drafted this past September. Demonstrators urged conference participants to focus on cutting the amount of plastic produced. Last year, nations across the world agreed to finalize by 2024 a first UN treaty to address the scourge of plastics, which are found everywhere from mountaintops and the deepest sea trenches to human blood.
The purpose of the event today is to highlight plastics reduction and the need for that in the treaty. There is a lot of talk about end-of-pipeline solutions which we do not need right now. Investing in more of those solutions divert the focus away from what we really need to do, which is mandating ambitious targets on plastics reduction.
We are the people who have the historical knowledge and also the historical depth of controlling plastic pollution. We are the heart of recycling. And I believe that our input, our voices, should set base to this treaty.
We have come to the end of this news brief. Before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscasts and contribute to provide an alternative news source of the latest world events. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.